was just this kid in my head for such a long time. And then he was just this image on my laptop. And now he is a physical person.
Medium spoilers for Past Lives. I was especially interested in how Celine Song's directorial debut, and yes, one of 2023's cinematic masterpieces, Past Lives, sees language. But okay, some medium context. Hae-sung and Na-young are childhood sweethearts who get separated when Na-young's family immigrates to Canada. 24 years later, Na-young is now living in Manhattan and going by Nora, and she is married to an American man named Arthur. Hae-sung, on the other hand, has spent his whole life in Korea, undergoing his own sort of deal, and he decides to visit Nora in the States. She spends the day reconnecting with him, but there is this scene midway into the movie that really stood out to me.
He's really masculine in this way that I think is so Korean.
Nora comes back home and talks about her day with Arthur, though Arthur is clearly uncomfortable about the whole situation. Later that night, he tells her that when she talks in her sleep, she speaks in Korean. My mind immediately went, of all things, to the sci-fi classic Babel 17, Hear Me Out, which in of itself is heavily based off of the hypothesis of linguistic relativity. Otherwise known as the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, linguistic relativity suggests that the language one has learned to speak and think in shapes their sense of reality and worldview. One broad example is the Chinese language containing little distinction between singular and plural nouns, which is theorized to have influenced a more collectivist culture. In Babel 17, there's this super language that can give you superhuman enlightenment or something. That's not what Past Lives is about, obviously, but I wondered if Arthur sees the Korean language in that kind of way. Not necessarily a super language, but an unreachable way of seeing and connecting and dreaming, one that allows her to connect with Hae-sung in a way she could never connect with him. That is the sort of conflict that defines Past Lives, and it is fascinating. Of course, this goes well beyond language. There's a sense of shared experience that is missing between Nora and Arthur. But there too is a sense of distance between Nora and Hae-sung. To Nora, immigration is reincarnation, but clearly, if that is the case, connections do last even beyond singular lifetimes. So the two might understand each other, but they don't really know each other. Greta Lee and Teo Yoo masterfully depict this sort of awkward relationship, all the while John Magaro plays Arthur equally well as that sort of insecure and almost kind of boring spouse, conjuring the sort of relationship that is comfortable, but it is left open to interpretation how connected they really are. Past Lives makes great use of subtlety. These shots are wonderful, but not necessarily flashy, while the music is compelling but very much in the background. It's not the kind of movie you put on for the bros or anything, but if you're in the mood for something poignant and personal, it can really get its mitts all up in your soul and wriggle around a little bit. I revealed a little more about the film than I would usually like to, but I wouldn't have been satisfied giving this movie just a surface level glimpse. Maybe it is because I am half Korean myself, and I have a Korean immigrant mother. It raises questions in my own head over my relationship with culture and people, both American and Korean, but I do believe this is a movie for anyone. You don't have to worry about getting Arthur. These emotions are universal and they come across very clearly. Past Lives has already been recognized by a critics poll as the best movie of 2023 so far, but I still worry that this movie could go unrecognized. I do hope that you will consider seeing Past Lives if you have not already. 9 out of 10. If you like this video and want to see more movie reviews and Oscars content, please subscribe to my channel, okay?
와, 너다.
와,
와.
진짜 와다. 와.
Wario, I'm gonna win.